nowhere in the decision did the court say that they were giving green lights for the wholesale implementation of the said policy. Nowhere. And in fact, also nowhere in the decision did the court say that they were declaring title for Jake, because it was not before them. Even though the court as constituted on the day could have applied the Hanahasi doctrine,
which is
that a party may be granted certain reliefs even though he or she did not ask.
Okay.
No, even though he or she did not ask for same.
Okay.
In a matter before them.
Okay.
When doing so would have ensured a substantial administration of justice in the particular matter.
Okay, so now you're welcome back. We'll be starting our discussion soon. And well, in the studio with me tonight, from the extreme end of the table, is Joseph Osamaji. He's a member of the NPP's communications team. Good to have you here. Good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, and also I am hosting for the first time Alhaji Halidu Haruna from the Office of the President. Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you for joining me on Joint Caucus.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Alrighty, so let's start with our very first video insert, which we will be discussing from the Minority Caucus. And the question that I picked from what they're saying is whether or not government is being intolerant to opposition views. Let's pick that video clip. We'll be back to discuss it. Stay with us.
We criticize government or we raise issues, instead of it being seen as we being noisy and distortive and destructive and all of that, should rather look at it as an attempt for all of us to contribute to the developmental process in Ghana. President Mills, in his first State of the Nation address, promised all of Ghana that he would take opposing views on board. To quote him, the practice where criticisms are seen as destructive will be eschewed. Today, when you speak of things, the informal newspaper of today described Egbert Fable as noisy Egbert Fable because he raised issues on Newsfile. These are the sort of things that do not encourage tolerance at all. Tolerance is anybody who understands politics, basic politics, and democracy would also understand the fact that tolerance is very, very key for the practice of democracy.
Okay, thank you for staying with us. Now we'll jump straight into the discussion. Okay, let me begin with you, Alhaji. Why is government so intolerant to opposing views?
Well, Smart, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Indeed, I disagree with the position that my friend in MPP seems to raise.
Why?
And because the example he cited is far-fetched. He
Which
cited Informa. Now, Informa doesn't represent the position of government.
Okay.
Informa is a newspaper belonging to an individual, a private individual. He may be sympathizing with government or the party that is in government. If Informa editor disagree with a position being highlighted by another individual, it should not be presented as the positions of government. So as far as I'm concerned, the example he cited is far-fetched.
But his example aside, you would agree with me that, for instance, Dr. Baumia, when he spoke about the inflation not being single-digit, received a barrage of criticisms from even some government quarters as well.
Smart, we are in a democratic environment where freedom of speech, your right to criticize, is enshrined in the constitutions of the Republic of Ghana.
Sure.
Now, in as much as you have the right to criticize, don't forget, the other party also has the right to respond. Now, why is it that if somebody raises an issue and you disagree by also expressing a divergent or a different opposing view, then the other side thinks that you are intolerant? Of course, if you accuse me wrongly, I do not think that you expect that I should be quiet because I am the one mandated to run the administration of this country, and I should be quiet that even when the issues we are raising are untenable. it is important that government should also come, because government has the mandate of the people of Ghana.
But when you do so with some, in some cases, with personal attacks, then that smacks of intolerance.
I think that let's critically examine the response that came from government. And I believe that if you take the response from the Ministry of Finance, that clearly represents the position of government. And if you read the content of that statement, issues of personality has not been addressed. Bawumia's person has not been attacked. Government disagree and try to contradict the positions of Bawumia. Individuals belonging to government who, in their opinion, having been mandated by the Constitution, also decide to go the way they want to go. Just like my brothers in MPP also are doing. So we should not confuse the issue. I sit here, even though a member of government, speaking. It is not all opinions I express here represent the position of government. So it is important that we try as much as possible to link criticism or disagreement that comes from individuals who disagree. Now, the example he cited, for instance, about Egbert issues, I do not think that government officials have come out to say that, no, this government official who spoke on this matter says that, look, he who demands for equity must come with clean hands. If Egbert sit on radio and try to espouse certain position and posture, it is important for us to remind him that at the time that he or the issues he's addressing, he happened to be a beneficiary of that particular issues that is being discussed. And therefore, when your hands are tinted with blood, I do not think that when issues of blood are being discussed, you should be loud. So, for me, this government, if you go, this government will go down on record as one government that has been criticized the more. The president has been vilified wrongly, yet he still maintained his calm because he believes that he has the mandate of the people of this country to pursue an agenda of development and transforming the economy of Ghana.
Alhaji, before I move on to Mr. Samajimfi, it's interesting you spoke about individuals who probably might be part of government. Once they speak on a platform, say Caucus, say Newsfile or Newsnight on Joy FM, anywhere, and they, because I've had the occasion of hearing a member of the government communication team actually raise doubts about Dr. Bawumia's academic credentials and all that. If such a person speaks on a platform and makes such statements, then am I wrong in assuming, or is the MPP wrong in assuming that government is being intolerant of opposition views?
Certainly, as I sit here and I'm speaking and expressing views in defense of government. It is important when I intend expressing my personal view, I should make it known and clearer. So in communication, when you don't do that, then you create that kind of confusion where people will then be drawing government into some of these things.
Even though they have been made by individuals.
Exactly. So probably that has been the confusion. But I believe strongly that if you carefully examine statement that came out of government with respect to other issues raised against government, you realize that no personal attacks. You look at the issues because the facts needs to be put out for the people of Ghana to be able to subject the issues. Because if you accuse me and I sit as government without coming out to also let the people understand what are the issues and what really are the response with respect to the accusation, certainly you are not serving the interests of the people of Ghana.
Okay. Mr. Samajimfi, he raised an interesting point about the fact that sometimes when you actually, or members from your end, accuse the government of being intolerant to opposition views, maybe sometimes or more often than not, those oppositions to your opposition, if I can put it that way, are made by individuals in their private capacities, although they may work for the government.
Oh, you see, the observation we have made of government intolerance, as we speak now, government is intolerant about their own founder, celebration of June 4th. June 4th has been celebrated under President Kufuor. You remember?
But this one is not government. It was the people of Aflao who are saying they are not going to allow them.
Government should condemn the chiefs because The power of security lies with the president and not with the chiefs. And the comments being made and the reason why they are giving that explanation, that intolerant position, which is a reflection of the government's position, is because they allow them, government will deny them what is right. You understand? If a flower is due for municipality, the president must do it. Whether they allow former President Rawlings there or not, the president of Ghana must deliver. If they deserve a dual carriageway, which was the original plan under President Kufuor, which you have brought down to single lane, you must continue with it, because you must do what we call traffic flow. You get it?
But for now, the people have said that government has even given them the promise it will do it.
So,
but it is just their own fears.
That is,
that
if the president is a tolerant person, if the president is indeed a tolerant person, then he should write back and tell the DISEC, tell the Red Sec that you don't agree. Condemn it. That is what a tolerant Democrat does. It is not about the MPP. When the former First Lady decided to go on a thank you tour, didn't they wail him on the road? Didn't they? On several occasions? So is it us that are saying it? It is the attitude of government. A case is sent to court. Court rules in favor of the opponent. The Parliament, cabinet in a patapa mood, decide to issue a statement. When indeed the president, one being a legal person, knowing that he has a right of review, should have asked for a review.
We'll come to that issue about the JK issue.
So no, I agree. I'm just letting you know that's a level of intolerance.
But isn't it also then sometimes that as much as we expect that opposition will keep government in check or probably draw their minds to things they probably would ignore, if it is done constructively, then you don't expect them to be intolerant to your views?
Nanado comes out to say you offer free education, and that he will mention it when he's launching his manifesto. What did they say? They say he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that is not feasible.
Well, is that not an opinion they're entitled to?
No! And that they think, is that an opinion? So must they run another day and tell another that he doesn't know what he's talking about?
In that sense, isn't it the same thing you're also doing when they also state their policies and programs?
What policy did they state that we went at the person? When they say they will do free, what do you call it? They will do one-time premium. We told that it was not feasible. And the actuarial study show it's not feasible. That's what we said. Did we go after Professor Moss? No. When Nanado was granted an interview on Hard Talk, didn't they run at his person? You get it? When Bawumia was talking about the economy, what did they say? You're telling me that the minister of they attacked Bawumia and said they doubted that he was playing politics and not being a technocrat as he's known to be. Now, if you make such a statement, it's not an attack on his person. Now, as we speak now, the very issues that Bawumia raised on high cost of living, the IMF has confirmed it. The running or what they call high depreciation of the city, the IMF is talking about. Even the statistical thing that he made a statement, he believes that what the figures that the statistical service were turning out didn't add up, and that it could be a measurement issue. Yesterday, the meeting with the IMF and the statistical service, they said they are rebasing the inflationary basket. So that is the point they should have argued instead of trying to run Bawumia down.
Okay, Alhaji, there's also the other side of the issue about government's intolerance when it comes to, for instance, other independent people who speak on such issues, other think tanks who speak on issues of government's policies and projects, who have been labeled or tagged in one way or the other. Imani, for instance, has been tagged for some time now as an MPP think tank. The Media Foundation for West Africa has come under some form of criticisms and attacks sometimes. Isn't that also enough to show how small or minimal or probably government's tolerance level is?
Smart. Is MPP an illegal organization?
You tell me.
MPP is not an illegal organization. Neither is NDC an illegal organization. What is important is that we must be honest whenever we are discussing issues of national interest. You don't hide behind. You see, sometimes when issues comes up, you have situations where people hide under the cloth of independent-minded Meanwhile, beneath it is partisan bias. Then they come out and be expressing certain strange theories. Now, if I know you as an MPP man, I think that, you see, honesty should be a virtue. It is not illegal for you to belong to an MPP or NDC. It's not illegal. But when you are expressing an opinion because you are to inform the people, for the people to actually be educated and enlightened about situations, it is important that as I sit here, I'm a non-NDC man. So people, whatever comes out of my mouth, will sit down and judge whatever comes out of my mouth. And they will be able to compare with what he is saying, and then listen to independent people whose political positions are not known. Then they compare and contrast. That in that position, then the person will be able to say, no, this political party seems to be telling us the truth. Now, it is instructive listening to my colleague MPP. And it saddens my heart, especially when they want us to believe that when it comes to democracy, they have a credential on power to any other political parties in this country. Yet, they are saying that when a group of people sit down to express an opinion, government should condemn. The same government they accuse of intolerance, they are saying that when the people issue that statement, government should condemn it. So going to confirm that if government, assuming government decide to condemn, then they will then come out to say that. Which particular case are you? The case of the Aflao team. Okay. The Aflao statement. These are citizens of Ghana. As I sit here, this morning, I was on a sister radio station, and I showed my disagreement with the statement where they indicated that we demanded certain developmental issues or development in our area, and that should former president comes to that area and criticize, we are likely not to get it. Now, when you put out that particular statement, you are putting government image in a very bad picture. And I indicated that this is a government that doesn't discriminate, because even in Kumasi, a very strong area where we are not strong as a political party, we still carry development there. So it is wrong for them to state that. But hey, they are right to express whether the place is conducive for that project or program. Okay. It is not up to government to. It is a purely traditional area that things that no, based on the facts available on the ground, we think that these things will not serve our interest. Okay. Government has no business in that. All right. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap up on this one, and then we'll go on to our next.
My brother is quick in trying to rationalize what I said about that flouting. This is a people who are stopping an activity that has been going on in this country for the past 33 years. You get my point? And they came first seeking the chief's permission. Permission were granted. Why should then inform the chief to reverse it in the first place? You get my point. Now, what the reasons the chief is giving is drawing the integrity of the presidency. You understand?
That is why government was saying no. Also,
he's saying that if I allow you, because former President Rawlings would come and speak things against the president. If they allow that to happen, the president would deny them.
No, that is their opinion, but it is not the true reflection of what government will do.
So the president should come and say, gentlemen, allow him to go ahead.
Oh.
Yes, don't drag my name in. I will give you the municipality, whether you allow Rawlings there or not. The presidency is quiet. And the fact of the case, the respondents of all the people in government, has it been in support of what the chief are doing or against what the chiefs are doing? Okay. Since the chief's issue. Then another aspect of intolerance. Intolerance of speech. Osu member says something, he's dragged and detained. Oh, no. You understand? Kennedy Japan says something which is purely has nothing to do with treason or nothing. Right? He goes to court seeking treasonable charges. And when former president says, look, the action you are taking is like killing an ant with a sledgehammer, the vice president come out to say that if he had a bulldozer, he would have used it. That's intolerance. You get it? So there are clear reasons why we are saying that the government's action, okay, shows that once you are against them, okay, they will deal with Hamidu's own statements. The third epistle he released clearly says that once you are within the government and you oppose the government, you are thrown out. He has been thrown out.
That is not true.
Sekou and what do you call it? Sekou Nkrumah has been thrown out for being. Well, to me, it is not for me to say this is Martin Amidu.
30 seconds.
This is Martin Amidu, who is a cabinet minister. Indeed, when he is the only one in government who wanted or who had the passion to do with the Woyome thing, he has been thrown out. Sekou Nkrumah, the same thing. When he realized that the
Sekou resigned, as far as we are told, or as far as we know, he resigned.
He was thrown out. There are two gentlemanly way of acting to resign or throw you out. That's what they tell you. Go and call Sekou and ask him.
Smart, you see, they want us to believe that they are tolerant people. PCRP of Fori made an allegation against the members of parliament under J. Ukufo that monies belonging to the state, 5,000 each, was given to each of the MPs representing the MPP on the sales of the telecom. As we speak now, ask what is the position of PCRP of Fori. He was removed from the front bench to the back bench. He's a backbencher now. So you see, don't sound more Catholic than the Pope. And it is disturbing. Now, the issue of he making reference to the policy of Nana about free HSS, saying that he granted interview on Hard Talk, and we say he doesn't know what he's talking about. Why? It's not true. When the gentleman posed the question, how are you going to find it? Have you caused it? What was the response of Nana? He promised that when he comes back to Ghana, he's coming to announce.
Yeah.
How long? He returns from Ghana. So we have not attacked him, but we indicate that he doesn't even know, because if he knows, he would have at least told the people. And again, our counter policy was actually pronounced or made known by the vice president when he met the team on the Legon campus, where he stated that, look, the issue of accessibility is the problem of secondary
it's
education.
Both ways. It's
not just important that we expand accessibility and affordability. So these are things that we have raised.
All right, so we'll move on now to our next
video. Promise the people of
Ghana. Move on to our next video, which is from the Majority Caucus on the Jake Bangalo saga. And we'll take that video and then we'll be back to discuss it. Stay with us.
In my humble opinion, the effect of the Supreme Court decision has some far-reaching implications on how government officials and state authorities would begin to conduct themselves henceforth. Okay. Because when you look at the decision, it seeks to say that, well, state officials, government officials can go ahead and appropriate to themselves property belonging to all of us. That's the implication of it. Okay. And I think that the Supreme Court lost the opportunity once again to assist in the fight against corruption. And so when I'm speaking about these matters, I want to dove my heart for the 3 judges who dissented. They will go down in history as judges who have fought for the people of this country by ensuring that at least they made a point that it is important for state property to belong to the people of this country.
Okay, welcome back. We are still here on the Joint Caucus. Let me start with you, Mr. Asamajefi. Do you share in a...
No, I'm not about my schoolmates. You know, I'm proud of him, okay? Because we were the guinea pigs of the JSS.
Oh, okay.
So when I see him as a lawyer, I'm proud of him. You know, we went to Zamsi Secondary Technical in Bolga.
Nice.
It was then Bolga Junior Secondary School.
Okay.
With Adenzi Kanga as our headmaster.
Right.
So I'm proud of him as an old boy. But the fact is that he's being jaundiced in his analysis.
How so?
If indeed they like what the judges have said, they should move on and change the policy. Simple. You change the policy so no one takes advantage of it from hands. But you see, if you are zeroing in on one person who has taken advantage of a policy, and I'm saying that that policy has not been enjoyed by only politicians. You know that Dansuma Senate flat? You know now some teachers and nurses owe it? Do you know that? That they are no longer renting it? It was built for the Ghana Education Service and Ministry of Health for nurses to rent. But when Senate realized that they could not pay the rent, or the value of the rent coming in could not, measure up to the cost of construction and even maintenance, they decided to sell. The policy was that those living in those bungalows should be given the first offer. I know teachers and nurses who moved out of it, rented it to their fellow teachers and nurses, got 5 years advance, used that to pay, and now they owe it now. So if it is bad, then teachers to also public officers. I see Ketia has a building in Sakumono. as a basis of the fact that he was a parliamentarian and Senate allocated portions of those, what do you call it, Senate flats to Parliament to rent under the same policy to sell off. A Sedin Keti as MP took advantage and bought it. You understand? So it's a policy. So if the NDC think that the policy is wrong, then they should change it. And indeed, it was in their manifesto to deal with this issue. So they shouldn't have waited 3 years down the line for Supreme Court interpretation.
But indeed, the NPP was also accused of similar events when they were in power, apart from Jake's issue. There was also the talk about the land being sold to the Chief Justice, K.T. Amond, Ms. Irenado, the MP for Tama West, Hajia Halima Mahama, former Women's and Children's Affairs Minister, Oboshi Sai Kofi, and then the list goes on and on.
Agreed. Let's ask them. Between 2009 and 2012, as we speak, how many has been allocated under their scheme? Let me give them, if they want to talk about morality here, and that they need to build houses for nurses and doctors. You see that the building in front of the 37 military hospital, it was acquired by Senate to build affordable housing. Senate have now sold it to a private individual to build, what do you call it, a middle class income housing or a shopping mall. Why didn't they say no, stop it? Because the next to it was built by Senate, sold to the Ghana Army, and which nurses from, doctors and nurses from 37 live in it. You get my point? Mm-hmm. So if it is the policy that is there, and people have taken advantage of, you don't go attack the person. If you genuinely want to deal with the problem, you stop the policy. Okay. But as I speak, the policy is, and the president's best friend, Okoni Jani, who is chairman of Lands Commission, is benefiting from it. Okay,
Alhaji, apart from the cabinet memo that came out, or the statement, is government making a deliberate effort or to put out a deliberate policy that is going to halt the sale of public properties and lands?
I think that's smart. We have done great service to the people of Ghana as far as this issue is concerned, both MPP and DC and all the other political parties who have contributed to this issue. Mm-hmm. I believe strongly that if indeed we want to be sincere and educate people in this country, we should have gone back to pick the policy of the redevelopment and look at the criteria, how one's qualified to be able to purchase it. You would agree that having gone through the policy, you would have agreed that indeed, if implemented right, nobody will raise any eyebrow.
But for now, it is not.
Now, the point here is that we are deliberately confusing even the people of Ghana again, because the MPP did not implement the Accra redevelopment policy.
And if
they did, we would have been told that indeed this is the advertisement in this newspaper that we advertise the sales of these bungalows. Because as part of the criteria for the bungalows to be disposed of or land, you are to advertise, allow competitive bidding, etc. But they did not do that. Now, what they did was to introduce what they call infilling and protocol scheme. Now, the protocol scheme, the Ministry of Works and Housing just sit in the comfort of his office, then call that, oh, Jake, are you interested? We have a bungalow. Now, the question we are asking, that this is a property of state. As a public officer, you are mandated and entrusted with the responsibility of guiding and protecting these facilities in trust on behalf of the people of Ghana. Now, you use that position. And what makes Jake's own so bizarre is the fact it was that Jake was the chief of staff under President Kufuor regime. That bungalow was allocated to Jake. And remember that chief of staff has the responsibility of coordinating activities of the ministry. When you want to actually spend certain things, sometimes you have to go and seek certain approval from him. Now, in terms of the refurbishment of those bungalows, Jake gave the go-ahead for the refurbishment of those bungalows. Indeed, the bungalow was allocated to him. He stayed in that bungalow. Part of the scheme states that before bungalows will be disposed of, it should be a run-down bungalow or building, run down, that you cannot be able to stay in. The question we are asking, whether that bungalow is a rundown facility.
But I also want to find out from you, what scheme are you also using now, as you are also, as your government is also accused of also selling state lands?
You see,
and indeed the NDK building at Osu opposite the stadium is also one such property, isn't it?
Smart.
Okay.
That's not what we're
Smart.
talking about.
Sometimes when I sit and we are discussing some of these things, this is a very important and critical national issue. In my humble opinion, we the politicians will always speak in favor of our political parties. But I thought that media houses, having allowed the politicians to spread all those kind of rumor, accusing here, accusing that, will be interested in going to find out the other side of the story. So that when you come back and put out the other side of the story, politicians will be very careful in coming out to make wild allegations against individuals. Go back and check NDK. The NDK man, the one he is making reference to, purchased a bungalow around the cantonment. He purchased that bungalow under President Kufuor.
Okay.
It was under the MPP when those that bizarre ways of selling actually was implemented under President Kufuor. Now the question is, look, as I sit here, if indeed we find out and we are checking that he bought those things under that same circumstances, we will not hesitate in condemning it. We will not support it. And once we are a group of people, you will have somebody. Why? In the MPP, Akomia has been on various platforms saying that he was offered, but he declined. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the flag bearer of the MPP, they claim he was offered, he declined. The question I am asking is that if indeed it is a good thing, as they want us to believe, and they seem to be defending Jake Obechebilante, why is it that Akufo-Addo refused to actually take advantage of it?
Okay, let me put the question the other way now. Should we, at this stage as a nation, then consider coming up with a policy that will not allow state properties and state lands to be sold to private individuals?
You see, when you talk of private individuals, sometimes it is also even against the interests of the state. When you have a land lying there, not put in use, and people are interested in getting it to develop it to the extent that it could create some kind of, if I should say, opportunity for others to get work to do. It will be against the interests of the state. For instance, if you have a state facilities and you allow the state facilities to be deteriorating and you are not using it, you are working against the state.
But can the state
so I am saying, no, that's why I'm saying that let's go and examine the redevelopment policy, whether indeed it has been implemented as it should have been implemented under the President Kufuor's government, so that we juxtapose it with those that.
Why not from when the?
No, but that's why that we just juxtapose it with the NDC people who purchased, who patronized us, whether indeed there were advertisements for them to actually patronize or not, so that at least we will then be giving the people of this country an opportunity to then compare which political party indeed took advantage of that policy and then decide to just share the thing. But it's instructive. Go into the list and check the people. Why? Are they the only citizens of this country? These are people mandated with the power, authority, protect this facility for us. Then you just spread it among yourself and take it.
We have to take another break, but Mr. Samaji, when we come back, I'll ask you the same question as to whether it is about time that as a nation, we develop a policy on the sale of state land, and
you see,
we'll have to open the phone lines.
You see, they are being he's been selective. Okonijani bought his in 2008 under the same circumstance Jake bought his.
2006.
Fine, under Kufuor's time, the same circumstance Jake bought his. Why not going after Okonijani's one?
We are checking.
Please,
we'll
please,
him
please, not condemn. Then let the cabinet also hold them. And what do you call it? A cabinet decision and take it that they are no longer selling it. They should do the same to the vice president. You see, we do not even want to drag the vice president's wife because she's a businesswoman. There are some that she's acquired behind the trade fair. You get my point? But you see, if we want to narrow the whole thing and think as if it is politicians, go and check the total bungalows that have been sold. How many politicians have them? It's not a political party. Ghana National Association of Teachers.
Yeah.
Is MTN a political party?
No.
Is Mogul Ghana a political party? Is the Momos a political party?
That's how come I asked the question.
It is Intercontinental Bank now, Access Bank, a political party.
So then, do we need to work out the policy? There's a procurement act,
if it is not for envy and jealousy, we do not need to make this an issue. Another thing to the NDC do not want to tell people, that the policy is that for every bungalow demolished, 2 additions are built. And I'm showing Ghanaians in Accra here, where they can find some being built. You know the Liberation Circle, when you're heading towards the Parliament House, about within 1 bungalow has been pulled down, and about 8 is being built for judges, the Judicial Service. If you go behind, you take the GJ, Ghana Journalists Association, and the Institute of Ghana Journalists, you go straight. You understand? I think on your right, you have the deputy ministers and others living there.
No.
I'm telling you,
that is a private developer. That particular building is talking about. That is my
used to be a flat.
Just after the British embassy.
Yeah. After the no. There are 2 rows. There are 2 rows.
The one just after the press center. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, not the one just after the belongs to
the deputy minister. It was a flat.
Yes. Has now been
renovated.
For Parliament bought it. It's now committees, offices.
No.
I'm telling you, Parliament built it before where the mechanics are. What I'm telling you is
opposite the mechanic shop.
Yes.
Oh no.
It's for Parliament.
So which one are you talking?
When you go straight, you know the route is what. When you go straight, you hit the what do you call Kofi Annan ICT
Center.
On your left, just turn by the National Council of State building.
No, you won't get it. You won't get to the Kofi Annan.
Yes, you turn
the left. Yes,
there were about only 4 bungalows that have been turned out. Deputy ministers living left and right behind Airwax Sports Stadium. When you turn as if you're going to the Du Bois Center, then you turn left. There's a sharp right. Go in there. That's where the chief directors are living. If you go to Roman Ridge, after Accra Girls, you drive through there, you see a lot of infilling being done for public servants.
So my question
it is not that they are driving away ministers. Ministers have no accommodation. You come up because they try to beat on the emotional keyboards of people. You see, government officials are being thrown out. For every building torn down, 2 additional buildings was erected. Now he's thrown a certain challenge to you. He's thrown a certain challenge to you, journalists. There is a man called Nitaki. He's a planner. Okay, he owns a company called Consortium. He did the consultancy on this whole project, even as to how we're going to redevelop Jamestown and Nima. Go to him; he'll give you the history. And find out from him whether the policy has been deviated or not. Don't take it from him or from me.
I have to open.
Yes. No, just briefly, all the examples he cited, all those properties are still in the custody of the state. So if that indeed he cited all those things are in the custody of the state, I am saying no.
Let me just announce the phone lines.
Yes, but so why would you still use those bungalows? It was only 2 bungalows.
Okay, let me announce the phone lines. Let me announce the phone lines. The phone lines are 0302-211-701-24, 0302-211-70124. Those are the numbers for you to call to join us. Okay, we have an early bird, Gilbert. Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, keep your comments brief for us.
Ask Mr. Asamoah-Gyan, MPP man, to explain to Ghanaians the meaning of intolerance and protocol.
Okay.
If indeed that was the original plan.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gabriel, for the question. He wants to know. Okay, wait. Let me go to Wa for Adamuda. I'll come back to take your response. Hello, Adamuda. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you to you and your panelists for the wonderful work. I want to ask Alidu certain questions.
Okay.
Was President Mills' property be acquired, advertised? Was the Vice President's own advertised? Were those NDC members' own advertised?
Yes.
If they were not advertised, why is he now asking us to advertise Jake and co-own? And in any case, they said the police said what? The first occupants to be given what?
No. First choice, yes.
First offer.
Yes.
So if
that is it. That's why Seydou Ketia got his.
Okay.
Then I don't see anything wrong with that. And also to this
that's a policy.
Okay.
Indeed.
Like
pin these people down because they are just trying to divert our attention from the major issues at stake. Let us ask whether Jake has acquired it through the legal processes and whether that bungalow was earmarked for the redevelopment something he is talking about.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry, we are running out of time. So Rahman is in Tamale. Rahman, kindly reduce the volume on your TV set.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think we must get serious as Ghanaians. What the NTV man is saying about Rawlings and all those things, they've forgotten so soon. During the 2008 election, what did the MPP say? A vote for Mills is a vote for Rawlings. And now it's not the other way.
So is that the man you
Ghanaians must never ever let NTV come to power. They don't know because they don't know what they are talking about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rahman. Okay, there was a question for you.
Yeah, the infilling
and
the infilling is those ones where you have some reserved for the public servants, like I told you on the Roman Ridge one. Civil servants are still living in there, okay, but they are with larger spaces. So some they build blocks of
developing
flats.
On the other side. The spaces.
And the redevelopment is where you, when the building is given to you, you are given 2 years to tear it down.
Yes, protocol.
Okay. And build it. Protocol.
Let me go back up north to Volga. Hello, Matthew. Sorry, Matthew.
It was paid for.
Hello, Matthew. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Oh, my friend.
Okay.
Protocol are not being paid.
Yes, Matthew, go ahead.
Whoa.
Can we please listen to Matthew?
MPP with their double standard, they should stop it.
Okay.
The same MPP 2008, they were saying that if they vote for running, they vote for running. The same MPP, that if they vote for men, they vote for running. Rollins will dictate Akamil. Now Rollins is doing what, Mills is doing what he's doing, developing this country. The terror are accused. They are not spokesperson of Rollins. What kind of double standard is the MPP?
It's not double standard. You must listen to us.
Okay.
Ghanaians are wise, though. Ghanaians are wise. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Matthew. And there was a question also for you, whether the president, and then the vice president, whether their properties were also
important
advertised.
That's what I'm saying, that we throw in some of this in just to muddy the water and run away from the fact. Professor Mills, as a lecturer, under Legon, when he was lecturing, Legon, as a program of policy, they decided that lecturers, senior lecturers, should ballot. And they have what we call, it was a scheme. And then they were given an opportunity. They ballot and he picked and then he won. And he was asked to purchase it. And in fact, it was like they were deducting it even from his own salary. And he paid for. And so when something of this nature comes up and we want to just take that instance and throw it in.
And how about the vice president?
The vice president company, when you are a director of a company, the vice president as a person did not, and he doesn't own any land as they are talking about. A company in which he was a director.
Which company was that?
Mahama and Associates. He was a director.
He owns 60%.
No, he's a director. So as for a company, other people have
his husband and wife enterprise.
And at the time that he was the member of parliament for Boli, he was a director of that company. And even that land, he did not take it. He did not take it. He was given the offer. The letter was submitted to him when we won an election. He never bought it. He applied for, the company applied for, but he never even took advantage of it. So once they keep throwing it out there, I am saying that vice president has to speak now. His company doesn't even own it. But indeed he applied to
the time was standing on political platform.
And he knows the truth.
At the time the vice president was
telling Ghanaians, the man did not buy it.
Wait.
You gave him the offer, but
telling Ghanaians that MPP was grabbing lands of lands, right? He had put in an application to purchase, and you're talking about morality.
But he didn't. The offer was given and he declined.
It doesn't once. It's just like you know what case we used to do that. Sometimes you enter in.
So what you see?
Sometimes
what we used to do.
Man, you like to go. You like to go and pick some biscuit. As soon as you open the box, your mother found you out. They say, "I was not stealing that thing." That's what the vice president.
He was emphatic on that vice president issue.
Yes.
Until I decided to now. Now he's not saying that once he put it. The double standard is so strong.
I don't even believe what you're saying in the first place. But I'm just telling Ghanaians the double standard in here and why you are trying to hide. The man was telling Ghanaians that
one quick question before we go.
Okay.
There are some who have held the view that per the ruling of the Supreme Court, they rather lost an opportunity to nip corruption in the bud.
In the Supreme Court?
Yeah, per the ruling they gave. It was something that, had it gone the other way around, would have really then showed some sort of a curbing of corruption. But because the ruling went the way it went, it really didn't show commitment to fighting corruption.
Let me be honest with you. I was in court that day. And my humble opinion with respect to the judgment given by the court, with the exception of the area of the public interest aspect, I agree with all the other aspects, because you don't go to court. Especially, I sit in a very sensitive area. Day in, day out, they throw in allegations, etc. Now, if the court should actually decide to work with the evidence provided, because it is not concrete to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt. But issues of this nature, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt.
Exactly.
So you don't just on the basis of assumption say that this person is corrupt, and you think that when you go to the court will actually rule in your favor. So the issue of conflict of interest, even the conflict of interest, the court never made any pronouncement on it. The court says that the platform should be Shiraj. You understand? Abuse of office, I agree with them. But the issue of abuse of office, let's go into it. If you are a chief of staff, former chief of staff, and the land has been allocated or the places has been allocated to you, and you said that I have resigned, and I purchased at the time that I was a private individual, clearly you have an influence, because even after resigning, he stayed in the bungalow for almost 3 months. And he stayed there, but in his capacity as a former minister, he was allowed. But let me tell you, the issue of the public interest, I was shocked to the marrow when they gave, in fact, Brobe, when he was reading the listing, I was shocked because he cited 2 examples, Accra risk score and then the Rollis Park. And he used that to justify why Jake should be given that. And the question I keep asking is that if somebody decides to go and rent the International Conference Center, the money goes into the public kitchen, and that money will be used to finance education, health, etc. But when Jakes built those flats there and rented it, $3,000 when somebody pays, it doesn't go to the kitchen of
let me
tell you.
Let me tell you. 1 minute.
The land first has been leased. Jake is going to pay yearly ground rent to Lands Commission. If he develops it into residential apartments, he will pay property rates to the AMA. If he rents them out, wait. Okay,
let him 30 seconds.
So if the tenants pay rent, IRS will take rent charge. You know that, so money will still go to the state. So you please, you don't know. You just do not know what you're talking about.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
No, that's not true.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
The policy is to give them to individuals.
I'd like to say a very big thank you to my guest in the studio tonight, Mr. Joseph Asamoah-Gyamfi. I'm wrapping up. Mr. Joseph Asamoah-Gyamfi is a member of the NPP's communications team. Thank you very much for making time to be with us tonight. And then also another thanks goes to Alhaji Halidu Haruna, who is from the Office of the President. Alhaji, thank you for also joining us tonight on Joint Caucus. And we'll leave you with some memorable moments that we managed to pick out from sometime during the week when the shows were aired live here in our studios. And my name is Nia Kofi Matabe. Join us again next week. Good night.
People are talking about the Wyoming issue. If you are on a crusade to kill mosquitoes, when you find mosquito anywhere, you kill it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether the mosquito is in your room or my room.
Okay.
Because you are on a crusade. So if we think that what happened with the Wyoming is bad, the same principle must be applied to Jake. The difference is that one is money, one is landed property. If Wyoming is bad, Jake's own also is filthy. But the ordinary Ghanaian will see it like that, and we think that we can all apply. And somebody says he's even applying for the Accra Sports Stadium.
That's interesting.
This is the only time I've seen somebody whose hands is meddled in the same soup. hands are all oily, from the same soup. And he's pointing, accusing things. The same thing with the propaganda. You have a propaganda secretariat, and you turn around and accuse other people of propaganda.
Is the government being led? Is the president there? I'm knocking. Hello, Mr. President, are you there? Hello? Minority Caucus. Good night.